Hello, I'm Kevin Johnson from Soundhill Consultants, and this video is a brief introduction to the features of the Meisterplan toolset. Please bear in mind that this is just a demonstration and is not intended as a tutorial. If this product looks like something that would be of interest to you, please contact us for further information at the email address shown on screen. So here we have the Portfolio Designer window, which is the main working area of the Meisterplan tool. At the top part of the screen here we have a simplified Gantt chart which shows the duration of each project and also any milestones and dependencies to other projects that have been added to it. In the centre of the section here we have the information regarding resources, the thin green line here showing the capacity for each type of resource, and the histogram below showing the amount of that resource that's currently been allocated to projects, with this red area showing where there is over allocation. At the bottom of the screen we have information about financials. Each of these sections can be resized as necessary so that you can focus on the information that's most important to you at each time. The timescale here can also be zoomed so that you can see the information in higher or lower level of detail depending on how granular you need to see it at any time. So for example, we can easily switch to a monthly view to see the projects in a more detailed fashion. At the top part of the screen here we have system help and also access to the resource pool, which gives you further information about the resources in your system. And over to the left is an additional menu giving you access to other parts of the tool, including some administrative features which we will not cover in this session. So let's take a look at the project screen in more detail. As I mentioned earlier, this gives you a simplified Gantt chart showing the duration of each project, together with its milestones and any dependencies to other projects that have been added. If I hover over the project name, I can see additional details about the project, which can be collected into a number of fields, most of which can be configured to meet the needs of each individual customer. These fields can then be edited as necessary in order to ensure that the information is up to date. The projects are stored in Meisterplan within a priority order, starting at the top and working down to the bottom. This prioritization is used as part of the resource management functionality of the tool, and it's relatively straightforward to reprioritize a project by clicking and dragging it within the sequence on screen. Now we'll look at resources in more detail. The resource pool shows all of the people who are working in the organization, and you can collect an amount of information about each, which you can view in here. Each resource is allocated a primary role, which indicates the normal type of work they do. And these roles are also built within the system and can be used as generic resources where you know the type of person that's required but don't know at this point the individual that will be available. We can set up different calendars for either different countries to account for national holidays or for different working patterns such as part-time employees, in order to ensure that each shows the correct level of availability and also when they are available for work overall. And also add skills to each resource in order to further refine the searching for people within a project if you want to make sure they have a specific skill in order to undertake the work. Also in the resource pool section, we can set up an organisational breakdown structure, or OBS, or indeed a number of these to cover a different variety of functions. The OBS is a hierarchical setup in which you can allocate resources or projects in order to filter the information more accurately when you're either looking at information within the system or for reporting purposes. The resources are currently grouped by their role, but you can also use the OBS function to group them if you want to see them, for example, on maybe a geographical basis. If I click on the arrow next to a resource, I can see more detail about the work allocated to that type. Here we see the total amount of work allocated to that role, and here we see work which is still allocated at the generic level that hasn't yet been allocated to an individual. We can also see all of the individuals who have that role and their current workload. We can also see periods where their availability is reduced, shown by a drop in capacity, where they have available time to conduct more work, or where we have these red sections here where they are currently over-allocated. We can also see periods where resources are able to take on more work, and this will allow us to reschedule work between different individuals to ensure the best fit of the work to the people available. Now let's look at how projects and resources work together in Meisterplan. If I click on the arrow next to a project, I can see the resources currently allocated to it. In this case, they're currently allocated as roles or generic resources. And as you can see, the amount of time required for the role at different points of the project can be split in order to ensure that you have the correct resourcing at the correct time. To add another role, I just click on this plus sign, and then I can select either a role or indeed an individual from the system, and I can use the search facility here to further refine the search by name, role or skill. If I select Consultant Junior, the default is that the role is added with 0 time allocated, so it's for you to say how much time you need. You may also notice that the resource view at the bottom is filtered to show only the roles that are actually allocated on this project, so you get a clearer picture of the individual project as you're looking at it. If I now add some time to this project for this role, you'll see there's an instant increase in the amount of time required for the junior consultants across the organisation, and you can see that that addition has caused an issue here where we now have more work than the available capacity. So as you add the data, you get instant feedback as to the effect that's going to have on the resources within your system. We're currently showing resources being added by full-time equivalent, but you can also add in days or hours. And that may be more useful if you need to add your time on a monthly rather than sectional time across the project. So for example, if I switch the time grid on, I can now see how much time each person is allocated across the project. If I want to add this person's time in days, I just need to type 6D for days, and then the whole display changes, and you can see how that full-time equivalent allocation appears in days across the duration of the project. When it comes to making information from Meisterplan available to people who aren't users of the system, there are a number of options available to you. There are some simple exports into Excel, or the tool can be integrated with any popular BI tools such as Tableau or Power BI. Additionally, there is functionality within the system to provide some simple reports yourself. This one, for example, shows the over-allocation by role for each of the different roles within the system. We can have a simple graph at the top to show which of the roles are the ones that are most over-allocated. And at the bottom, we have a grid of information related to the details of the work for each of these roles. In this case, by the financial year for next year, but this can be expanded so that you can see the view by quarter. And you can also see more detail of the roles which are worst affected. So in this case, the senior developer, we can expand that out and see which projects are causing most of the demand on the senior developer. This is obviously just a very simple report, and you can configure these to meet your own needs. If you think Meisterplan is a product that could be of use to your organisation, please contact us for more information or a thorough demonstration of the tool. You can get us by either of the means shown on the screen here. Thank you very much for your time.